You are now listening to the Be Your Own #LoveGoals podcast with Mo Ari
and Tiffany.
We just want you to remember that every person, regardless of identity, wants these three things: belonging, authenticity, and love.
And after a decade of partnership, we've learned to co-create these things and so much more.
So from wherever you're listening, we're going to go on a journey of becoming our own #LoveGoals. Now let's get into this episode. Hey, it's Mo Ari
and Tiffany.
And this is the Be Your Own Love Goals podcast. We are happy to bring you all a new episode. We're always grateful to be in community with you all. Yes. And I'm just honored to be sitting here with my lovely wife, Tiffany, for another podcast episode. So thank you for the people who are tuning in weekly to listen to our episodes. It really means a lot to us. And we are bringing you more content very soon. That means guests for our show, more love, more ideas, more belonging. If I'm being honest, I feel like over the years, I've personally, even though I'm a therapist, even though I've done this work with a lot of people over the years, I've always had trouble. I won't say I've had trouble necessarily with saying I'm sorry, with apologies. But I think in the context of our relationship, it took a while for me to realize that self-awareness and self-accountability were not the same thing. And so the fullness of my apology, I feel like, has transformed over the years. I'm going to say that again. Self-awareness and self-accountability are not the same thing. For the people, if you listen to this on social media, self-awareness and self-accountability are not the same thing. When you're in a relationship and you're doing your work to heal generational things, it can feel like, oh, I'm doing the work. I know what the problems are. I know what the patterns are. But self-accountability is this mechanism internally that allows us to start to do the work for ourselves. A lot of times self-awareness shows us what the problems are and what the patterns are with each individual person. So we're good at analyzing the other person's behavior, maybe even analyzing our own, but then nobody has the tools to change it. So self-accountability really allows us to dive into the work on an individual basis and a collective basis. And when it comes to apologies, I realized that for me, I was good at having the awareness to apologize, but the self-accountability to make the shift so that it didn't continue to show up, and so that my apology was backed up by something, that took real work and growth. Now, to be sensitive with us.
I'm sorry. I relate so much to what you're saying. I'm sorry. You like preaching to the choir. This is exactly how I feel about apologies. But I'm gonna let you proceed.
No, I'm just gonna say, like, when it comes to apologies, I found that it's really important that we are not only self-aware, but that we're self-accountable and that we're utilizing tools to actually make changes. I'm giving us credit though, because we're still young. We were young then, trying to do this when we met in our early 20s, very, very early 20s. I think you might have been 20 or so.
20 on the head.
Yeah. Meeting.
Yep.
And forming a friendship and then a relationship. So it's taken us to really understand in an intentional way how to do this well. And I think we're still learning. I think we're in that chapter where the light bulb went off and we were like, oh, we gonna do this for real, or we're not gonna do it. I'm not gonna keep playing with Tiffany's time and her feelings.
Because I'm reclaiming my time, okay?
And you better.
And you should reclaim yours.
Yeah. Well, I want to hear from you when you think about the journey of us evolving in our relationship. What has that been like for you?
I definitely think that self-awareness and self-accountability being different was a real light bulb moment for me.
Yeah.
Because, I hear a lot in media, culture, society, you so unself-aware. You're not aware of how you're showing up. Yeah. And I think that's only the first part, right? Like, yes, I'm aware that I hurt you. Yes, I'm aware that how I may come across as X. But that self-accountability takes it to a new level.
Yeah.
That's ownership. That's I did this. I'm sorry. Maybe a plan for what you can do differently.
I apologize because you're not a sorry person, beloved.
Well, come on. Even the language shift. That I'm glad you said that, because I think, I think it was you or maybe a therapist that was like, "You're not sorry."
I think that was Iyanla Van Zandt.
Oh, Iyanla Van Zandt.
She did her work.
She did.
That's why I said you're not sorry. You apologize, beloved.
Yeah, because those I am statements are powerful.
They are powerful.
Mm-hmm. So to say I am sorry is like, I don't know if this is the language.
I apologize is self-accountability. I am sorry is riddled with that self-awareness and self-criticism, that self-awareness that is laden with self-criticism. Yeah, go ahead, preach. Keep going, Empress Tiffany.
I love that language shift. And I think this was a real moment for me. And admittedly, I don't feel like I was aware of this difference or how important it is to have self-accountability until the pandemic. That period of time forced me into this radical, a level of self-accountability that Tiffany honestly wasn't ready or willing to do in the beginning.
Because whole time, Nova, Aria, Brown will not play with either one of us. So if we thought we were going to just not do our work and be parents, Nova came here to change all of that. She's not playing with anybody, let alone us.
Baby.
So self-accountability is a whole thing. If you step on a cracker that was hers, you apologize. Or else it's like, what's happening here?
And I appreciate her ability to call it out.
Absolutely.
Even if I'm moving fast and like I get snippy with her or something, she's like, "Mommy, you yelled at me." And I'm like, "Thank you, baby. I apologize."
Yeah.
And I appreciate her level of, honestly, is vulnerability, but for her, we're raising her in a way where she says what's on her mind, what she's feeling, and I appreciate that about her. And early on, her presence has encouraged this level of self-accountability that I think has translated into our relationship and even relationships external to ours in my life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. When I think about how much we've evolved since the pandemic, it's amazing. When I think about what it was like to just have self-awareness, if we could break that down for people listening, I think that this could be really important, very helpful, because I know a lot of people listening are probably like, I get where you're going. What does that look like? So self-awareness is very much like, how we do. If you're a millennial listening to this, Gen Z, anybody who's been in therapy, we understand what generational patterns we're bringing into the relationship. We are talking about our emotions and feelings. We've done some work around vulnerability. So we're like, I know how my trauma is showing up here. I know when I'm triggered. We've got the language, we got the attitudes, we've got the time to spend with our partners and really be self-aware. Self-accountability isn't just about acknowledging the pains that we've experienced, the baggage we're bringing to the relationship, the ways in which we need to grow.
Absolutely.
That's beautiful and it's necessary. So don't stop doing that. Self-accountability is the part of the apology where you talk about how you're going to change the behavior that is present.
Say it louder for the people in the back.
Self-accountability is also owning the behaviors that are present. So not just I'm doing this because of what happened in my past. I see that as self-awareness. I don't see that as an excuse. So if anybody's ever called that an excuse, I don't see it as an excuse.
I think at the point, though, at which we use that to defend and not move into the ownership of it, it's a fine line between that being an excuse and self-awareness.
So I love that you said that, because sometimes when we're talking about our feelings, this is a prime example. This is a language shift. This is a little therapy for free. I'm gonna just lay on y'all right quick.
LMFT.
When you are offering that self-awareness, which I think is beautiful, and I want you to keep doing it. So let's say it's self-awareness around how you're feeling. Ownership looks like, when you didn't call me last night, I felt sad. I felt disappointed because I thought we were going to talk. self-awareness that often lends itself toward a lack of accountability looks like, you made me feel sad because you didn't call me. Ownership looks like, I felt sad. That means owning my feelings. Nobody can make you feel a thing.
Not a soul.
You felt that in response to something that they did of their own free will. So I felt sad when you didn't call me because I thought we were going to talk. That is self-accountability. Because that language shifts us into a mindset of, what are we going to do to change it? That self-awareness that only lingers around self-criticism, or it lingers around trying to make other people responsible, but not that it was a co-creation. That's only going to keep you in that cycle of talking about it in the ways that you have. I felt sad when you didn't call me because you were supposed to call me. It's only going to keep you talking about how they didn't call you. It's not going to have you own your feelings and bring them into a space of talking about what they can do differently next time. So I hope that gives an example. I hear the amen over here from Tiffany.
And self-accountability, I believe, particularly in the context of a romantic relationship, is an invitation for the other person to examine what is happening there. When I can say, Mo, I felt very upset when you did X, right? It allows you into this conversation with this thing I feel upset by.
Now, I'm gonna challenge you to use a different word than upset. I need a feeling that's a tightly labeled emotion.
I felt
angry. When
X happened.
That's ownership. Beautiful. I think sometimes we say upset.
Even me, like, even the discomfort, the little bit of discomfort I felt just now shifting that language is just indicative of this on a larger scale. Because I'm like, angry. It's a discomfort I even have with sharing that specific emotion. So that level of accountability to say, you know what, I am angry. And I'm gonna own this. I'm angry. So I say all that to say that expressing this level of ownership with your partner, whoever you're in relationship, allows the invitation for then the other person to come in and not explain it away at all, but be in conversation with the thing. And maybe you can arrive at a different understanding or have a little bit more clarity.
Absolutely. I'm right there with you. I love what you're saying. I appreciate you giving that example, because I know there are probably people listening who are like me. There are probably people that are listening that are like you. And, many iterations in between or beyond us. But if you're listening and you really relate to either one of us, I really appreciated that example that Tiffany gave, because I'm imagining that it's a common one. We often don't want to label our anger, but it's an emotion that is not only common for us to experience, it is the one that people lean into most often. So we are quicker to say we're angry or to feel anger than we are to really allow ourselves to feel sadness. We're more likely to allow ourselves to feel anger than we are to allow ourselves to feel disappointment or loneliness. Depression for masculine people often shows up as anger and irritation. We are often leaning into that more, but we're naming it less. We're saying, I'm upset. I'm feeling some type of way. Those are not emotions that will lead you to accountability for what's actually happening. Because once you own what's happening, guess what? Then the door is bust wide open to changing the situation.
But at the minute that you own it, those feelings they come up to the surface, and you allow it to come up so that you can heal it and talk about it. As I recognize for myself, as the longer I do not take ownership for what I am feeling, the more I am stuck in it. And I can tell myself, I ain't angry no more. I'm not sad anymore, but I'm carrying it with me. And the minute I say I am angry, it just starts to feel like a weight is lifted off my shoulder, and I'm able to pass through that emotion, not find a new way to feel now, but I'm able to feel through it to get to some other side.
Yeah. Because self-accountability requires this level of acceptance of what is right now. When we don't want to be accountable about how we're feeling, we won't be accountable about how we're behaving in response to that feeling.
And that's a huge part of ownership.
That's a huge part of ownership. Yes. So acceptance of that feeling is not bad. That feeling is not wrong. It just is. And if you're in partnership that's healthy, your partner is going to say to you when you say a feeling, they're not going to say you shouldn't feel that way. They're not going to say that's wrong for you to feel that way. They are going to say, I'm so sorry you feel that way. Not I'm sorry. Now, I apologize you feel that way.
If they do, that's a little gaslighty.
It's a gaslight.
And we got to call that out.
Yeah.
Because everybody gets to feel how they want to feel.
Yeah.
Now, the feelings don't have to be
facts.
Right
I say facts, feelings aren't facts.
But they're valid. They're valid.
Valid. So if your partner has historically been the person that's like, that's not right that you feel that way, or you shouldn't feel that way, or you don't feel like that, right? They're not accepting your feeling. Now you got to make sure you're bringing it like, I feel X. Not you made me feel either.
That's
so if
different.
You're saying I feel sad and they say you shouldn't feel that way because I wasn't meaning it like that. I want you to play this episode for them and say, I really want you to listen because Mo is a licensed marriage and family therapist, the love and connection expert at Hinge. And he is saying that we shouldn't be doing that in partnership. We should not be telling our partners how they should think and feel. Acceptance is important so that we can really understand them. That vulnerability is important. I know it's activating when somebody feels something and you feel like you caused it. Exactly. Remember, you can't make anybody feel away. That means that person needs to own their feelings.
Yep.
You are not responsible for their reactions to your behavior. You can have compassion and empathy though, but stop making yourself responsible so you stop responding like a jerk.
Come on.
Okay, that's a word. That's
you preaching good.
Stop making yourself responsible for how other people think and feel so you can stop acting like a jerk in response to it. You will be responding better if you say, I am so, I feel hurt that you feel hurt. That hurts me. I didn't mean for you to feel that way. So let me explain to you what what was happening for me. But that compassion goes a long way. I know a lot of times we want to rush to saying, well, I didn't mean that. Give that compassion first and then watch that other person have so much space to listen to what you meant.
Because I feel like it softens your heart.
Yeah.
It just softens things in a way that I think we rush over, and we really miss an opportunity for a level of vulnerability and intimacy that I think is necessary to get through these conversations that are sometimes very difficult. And I'm guilty of it. So really taking the time to sit with the feeling that is on the table. Set aside your shame, your guilt, any of these perceived things that you might feel. For me, I really hate the feeling when somebody feels hurt by something that I have done.
Tiffany does.
Like it makes me then angry, and then that anger can come across to the other person as if I'm angry at them or not holding space. So I have to be very aware, very accountable to how I show up in those instances. But I really want to be able to hold space and provide the level of empathy that I know I'm feeling. I just get so caught up in, oh my God, I made this person feel bad. Okay, wait. Let me reframe that.
But see, this is why we're here, because we are all learning and we're all human. So you go reframe. I just want to support you because Tiffany is modeling what it's like to catch yourself as you're changing language. It's human. We all do this. We all have learned and been conditioned in these ways. So go ahead and catch yourself.
So instead of I made this person feel away, I'm going to say, as a result of this thing I did, then Mo felt X.
Yes. And I love that you are just highlighting the impact of the impact of changing language. So because you were saying, I made them feel like this, you also had this narrative where you're like, oh, I feel so bad for making them feel like this. So then you couldn't respond well to the feeling that they were experiencing.
And that language shift really helps with your own level of self-hate, honestly. Yeah. Because if you hear a person tell you, or you saying to yourself, I made them sad. Nobody, I mean, I'll speak for myself. I am not a malicious person out here just going trying to hurt people's feelings or make people feel sad. And so that shift to saying, I did this thing that ended up, the result of it was this person feeling sad, but my intention was never to make that person sad. Yeah. It just was a result of that. And so I had to take ownership for that and my role in it. And we can talk about it and I can hold space for what's happening.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a healthy level of detachment from other people's feelings so that you can really just be with them and what they're feeling. Oftentimes I find in relationships, our culture promotes this idea of relationships where we go talk to everybody else about what we're feeling and what we're experiencing except for the person that we're experiencing that with. Because we don't have a lot of models of going to the person that we're experiencing the hurt with and being well received. So we go to all our friends to get that reception, and then we go to that person all hyped up off of our conversations with our friends, and we're ready to fight because we're expecting that we're not going to be well received. And I think we live in a society where we probably haven't been well received. You go tell your parents, tell a baby boomer parent, that hurt my feelings when you did. They be like, I'm trying to teach you a lesson. Yeah. So, and that's how they were taught. Right. Or they were taught worse. I won't even get into that today. Okay. But so they thought that they were doing better. Yep. And I think a lot of times our society just hasn't been structured for us to talk directly to the person we've experienced the harm with and know that we'll be received. And I think we're working together to try to create something different in our community and in our family for the next generation.
Yeah. It goes deep. Deep. And it made me think, even in this where we're talking about apologies, I noticed that in our relationship, I'll say, I'll maybe hear you apologize for something, right? Yeah. And I'm like, oh, that was sweet. But it doesn't quite get at what I am necessarily feeling. And in my quest, particularly in this episode, to be accountable, I feel like there is an onus on me in these moments where, you've said the apology. You've said an apology to the thing that I presented to you. It really makes me sit and think that even when I'm communicating a hurt, like we're talking about, or whatever might be happening, I'm not getting to the root of it, or I'm not truly expressing my feeling as I'm not expressing the real feeling. It could be a surface level feeling, so that if I say, I felt sad because I felt sad when you left early. I don't know, like for an example, right? Yeah. I'm sad might be the surface level feeling. Yeah. And you can apologize like, babe, I'm so sorry I left early. I had to get to this meeting. I
apologize for leaving early.
Look at this, okay? I am a work in progress. I apologize for leaving early. I had to get to a meeting. And you can say that, and I can sit and be, okay, he apologized. But it's still not sitting right quite with me. Not because your apology wasn't right, but it could be getting at something larger that I'm not expressing, right? Yeah. And so the larger thing could be, I really wanted a kiss, but I really wanted an extra kiss before you left. Yeah. I didn't say that. You would never know that. And so I think that, there's a responsibility and an ownership for the person who is giving the apology. But for the person who is bringing something, you also have to, if you can, access what is truly happening for you, so that when the apology appears, it actually resolves things.
Yeah. And I think in addition to that, adding to that it doesn't have to show up in the apology for it to be healed. So
that's true. That's very true.
just saying out loud, I would like a kiss, you can get a kiss. There's no need to go back down and apologize for not getting a kiss. True. Just say I want a kiss.
And then that's that vulnerability
That's
piece.
that vulnerability thing.
Because you're right. I didn't need you to apologize. No. I should have just said, can I have an extra kiss?
Yes. We talked in our nonviolent... You say child. We talked in our nonviolent communication episode about stating your needs. Mm-hmm. That is probably one of the hardest things for us to do as humans. So just say what we want. We don't need to keep talking about what didn't happen when we're in the present moment and we can still get what we want. That's the point of having these conversations.
And I think particularly for women and femme people, it is extremely hard to express what you need and desire.
Yeah.
Because of maybe our own insecurities about what you may
worries
feel.
Around rejection.
Worries around rejection. What you feel like your role may be. Like any of these things, I think that is difficult, but I am a witness, okay? Yeah. That when you say what you need, what you want, what you desire, 9 times out of 10, in a dynamic that is healthy, you can get what you want. I can school y'all on how I be getting what I want.
Well, right? And I think, oh my God, I want to hear the secrets. And if you are not, it's information. If you do have a partner who is not receptive to you telling them what you want, it's information. And I always say that we don't have to be with a person that's perfect, who is able to predict all of our needs and wants and can read minds and is going to show up with everything that we're looking for all the time. That doesn't make the best relationship. What makes a really solid relationship is someone who can be self-accountable and say, you know what? Thank you for telling me, and can deliver on what you're asking for. Now, how they respond to your request for something different tells you a lot about whether or not they are a good partner. Amen. I stand 10 toes down on that. Okay. If they respond well to your request for something different, y'all can do the work.
Come on.
It's when they don't respond well to your request for something different that you are in potentially a crisis. I would say that that's a major red flag. It does not matter at what point you are in your relationship. If they are not receptive to your feedback about the relationship, that is quicksand.
Yes.
For the relationship.
Yeah, because it feels just like the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah. We know something else in there is happening for them if they're just not willing to improve the relationship anymore. Yeah. So we want to have our eyebrows raised at that kind of behavior.
Absolutely. My mom told me about 2 years ago, she was like, you have a good man. Aww. He's a good man.
He's a good man.
You got a good man. Do you? I believe that anything you ask Mo for, he will do it, even if he doesn't have access, the means, what the time in that moment to do it. He gonna make a way. He gonna find a way to make it happen. And that was such a sobering moment for me. One, because my mother is giving me relationship advice, and I was like, I didn't ask for this, Miss Capricorn.
Thank you, Mimi, for giving her some love about me.
Second of all, it was a really great opportunity for a third party. And, she's not the first person who has said this, but coming from my mother, it was like, oh, I do.
Yeah.
Let me start using my voice, using my looks, using my moves, using all the things. I'm just playing.
I'm rolling my eyes. I'm like, she don't even have to do all that, but I appreciate all the looks and moves and the moves.
It's not. I don't have to do a lot. It's as simple as saying, babe, I really want X.
Yeah.
I would love if we did X.
Yeah.
If I never say it, you will never know.
Yeah.
Now, we have this tendency to want people to read our minds. And
in order for it to be real.
And, I've even come from the thought that, well, it's not thoughtful if he doesn't think of it. If it's something that means that much to me, that means I need to communicate it.
And that's I love that you said that out loud.
Come on now.
Because that's just not you. It's not just you. It's our society. And the crazy part about that theory is, and I've ascribed to this too at different points in time, is that if it's not thoughtful unless they thought of it themselves, that's the ridiculous part about that, is that the most thoughtful thing is for somebody to deliver on something that you directly asked for. Think about asking for a particular gift on your birthday or at Christmas when you were a kid. When you woke up on Christmas morning or whatever your holiday was, your birthday, wherever you were expecting a gift, were you not just looking for that one thing? It didn't matter if you had 10 things.
Come on.
When you got that one thing, did it matter that you asked for it? Was it less thoughtful? Or was it the most amazing feeling in the world to have your request answered?
Exactly.
When we're in a relationship, I think about the spiritual people. When you make your request known to the God of your understanding, isn't it the most amazing feeling to have that manifest?
Come on. Yes, it is.
So when I think about relationship, I'm going to make all my requests known.
Come on.
And that's been a progression to getting here. So really appreciating the thoughtfulness that goes into delivering on a request.
Yes.
You say you want tacos and I show up with tacos. Does she care that she asked for tacos? I
sure don't. I'm going to eat my carne asada tacos like it ain't nobody's business. Okay.
With a side of elote.
Come on.
Might make her a little spicy margarita.
Oh,
don't get us started, y'all.
Right.
Don't get us started, y'all.
But you're right. So I think that oftentimes what prevents apologies from happening, what prevents us from being able to accept apologies is so many different things.
Yeah.
The fear of rejection, the fear of being vulnerable, the fear of taking ownership of your own feelings and what that might make you feel.
Yeah.
And I think it's just so important to lean in, honestly. And this is a journey. I am on this journey with y'all for the people that are listening. As you can hear in this episode, I had to reframe language. I had to reframe these narratives that I was creating in a split second.
Yeah.
And it's only just a small piece of what this may look like in your conversations with your partner. And so I just really encourage people to lean into expressing what you desire, what doesn't feel good, but also on the flip side, holding space and offering apologies so that you can enter in conversation to gain more clarity and understanding.
Yeah, I love it. This has been a really beautiful conversation.
Yeah.
And us just going deep right here on apology is so important, because on the other side of that apology is this real forgiveness. There's a newness on the other side. There's this forward motion on the other side. So if we can get good about this self-accountability, the acceptance that comes with owning our emotions and our experiences, and then co-creating a future beyond that moment.
Yes.
In therapy, we talk about the tear and repair. If there is a tear in what we call the alliance, that means, like, let's say I'm a therapist. Well, I am a therapist. But let's say a client has a challenge in therapy and they're like, I didn't really feel like you really understood me, or what you said didn't really land and that didn't feel good to me. That's called a tear. The repair happens when I acknowledge what they experienced.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, I really apologize that that didn't land well for you.
Yeah.
What could have landed better? Well, I really appreciate you bringing that to me because our alliance means so much to me.
Right.
That is a repair. And when I think about our relationships, we do go through these tear and repair processes. That doesn't mean that the relationship is broken. But when you think about a relationship, it takes that kind of maintenance over time. If you have a tear and you don't repair it, what does it do? It gets bigger. I think about those stockings that women wear. Y'all know them stockings your mama used to wear, your auntie, somebody. That small run will get bigger and bigger and bigger unless you put that polish right there to stop it when it starts.
Clear polish.
Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
That's what it's like in your relationship if you don't do the work to repair the tear. Yes. At some point, it's not repairable. Yeah. And so it's important. It's not repairable, so you might end up having to start over. You might have to tear down and start all over, or you might have to walk away. Come on. But this has been a really beautiful conversation. And so I'm so grateful that we've gone deep. Tiffany, did you have any closing thoughts that you want to leave our audience with before we part ways today?
Apologies can be very difficult, but I think that they really keep cultivating the trust and love and connection in relationships. So I just encourage you to lean in. And also, makeup sex is kind of good.
Oh my gosh.
So after you get that good apology.
Talk about repair.
And I admittedly haven't always leaned in, but baby. And that's all I would say, y'all.
Wow. I love that. She just threw that ain't nothing in, and then it has sex too. Yep. Well, this has been a beautiful episode of the Be Your Own Love Goals podcast with Mo Ari
and Tiffany.
Okay, you all have a great day and be well.
Bye. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. Video episodes are on YouTube and Spotify.
If you want your question included in an upcoming episode, feel free to reach out to us on Instagram at Be Your Own Love Goals or check out our website at lovegoalspodcast.com. We look forward to hearing from you soon.
Bye.